This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio is brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Centre, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. And J&B Cycle and Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Angela Viola, Peter Bowman.
Hi.
Nikki V, Dean T. I mean, we got them all today. Everybody's here today. Why? Because it's another exciting episode. That's why. And the Countess just walked through the set again.
Oh,
Wow.
she is giving you a look of death right there.
Wow.
Whoa.
You
If this
know.
was
Why are you looking at me like
if this
that?
was Star Wars right now, you'd have your head is already off, dude. It's burnt right off. Or the boys.
You know it's going to be a good
Homelander.
episode.
She just Homelandered you.
Did she?
Yeah.
She tried saying something to me, but I had no idea what.
You know it's going to be a good episode
Oh,
when
boy.
The Countess
When she
walks
starts
through the set.
and has
just
a
like that.
stopover, too.
Right at the beginning.
Usually she doesn't stop.
She's never done that at the top of the show, right? She usually...
That was timing, right? She's either cafe and she's getting a coffee or something. There's just timing.
Countess of Sandustech, folks. One
What?
day you'll see her on the show. Don't know when it's going to be, but
She might make a cameo on our up and coming boat building video because I have a feeling she slipped in a little. We kind of Nick kind of.
Well, that's her office in there, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it's true. It's her office out there. So let's see if we can get a.
We were
a little
obviously
piece with her
in
yesterday.
there. Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful program. The folks from Inspired Planet Productions will be joining us. If you recall, they were on the program. Dean, when were they on the program?
Right before All Too Clear launch, which was October 2024.
There you go.
It's been quite a while.
There you go. That's when they were here last. They, of course, are producers of TVO's All Too Clear docuseries. If you haven't checked it out there, please do so. But they have a plethora of productions that you can, we'll talk about that with Yvonne and Zach here very shortly. Before we do any of that, though, congratulations. Can we have a round of applause, Mr. Music Maker? Thank you.
Well,
Thank
who
you.
are we
That's-
applauding, buddy?
That's for the store manager.
Yay!
That's
Mickey
for
B,
the store
Mickey
manager.
B.
Store manager has got it happening right now as we speak.
Yeah, baby.
Oh my God. Tell us about it, buddy.
You guys need to hustle. By the time this comes out, I don't even know if there's going to be clothes to sell.
Uh-oh.
You guys have been absolutely amazing in buying on this, but you need to get over there as soon as you can to make sure we still have your size and item, because I can tell you we are selling quickly.
Nice. Bro.
Really quick.
Nice.
We're moving this stuff out. The long anticipated wait is over.
As they say, everything must go to make room for the new goodies that are coming out.
Hickory dickory dock.
And them new...
We must reduce some stock.
There you go. Thank you, Baba Mel.
Baba Mel. Oh, God. Those are the days.
Oh, my God. They were fun. Anyway, it's all happening at shop.fishingcanada.com. As Nick just said, do not be disappointed. The prices are ridiculous. The product is unbelievable. And it's a great time to wear the old logo that we all love for so many years.
I even got
years.
one on now today myself. I got the walleye.
There you go.
All right.
One thing I have to say, and I
Pickerel.
might mention it later, but I got to make it known now so I don't forget.
Yes.
This sale is just this sale. So
What does that
not
mean?
in conjunction with other, unless you're a coupon code winner, and that's different because you're getting $50 towards the store. You're not getting anything in terms of additional discounts. Like that's a gift card, right?
Gotcha. So far.
You can't. For example, we give off 10% if you get the coupon code or the bonus code from this show. If you use it on the store, you get 10%. That's not applicable here. Okay, so
I gotcha.
Take your 50% or take your 10%. You can't get 60.
I'd suggest
No bueno.
taking the 50 over the 10. It might.
I
I went to Napanee High School. I wasn't real good at it, but I got that one down pretty good.
It's a really good deal, folks.
Oh, my goodness. Season 4. Thank you, Mr. Store Manager.
so obviously somebody's trying to rook you here, right? Somebody's
No, I think our friend there, he simply made it apparent to me that, hey,
Okay.
yo,
He was looking for an extra 10.
he wanted the extra. Well, I think he was feeling me out, being like, well, you said it says it there.
Gotcha. Okay.
But, you know, just
Now
so
it's
we're clear.
Now it's written in stone.
we're
So there you
clear.
go.
Season 40 is nicely into its second cycle, I believe, coming up, if it's not already started. Airs Saturday mornings on Global Television Network, coast to coast to coast.
But we have that new episode that we slid in that's going to be coming up, Dean, another week or two at the most?
When this airs, it might be on this weekend.
Oh, there you
my
go.
God.
You
So
want to watch this
People
one.
haven't seen all of season 40 yet.
No, they have not.
One of the most interesting productions that we have done, no doubt about it.
Oh, for sure.
And so-
I think everybody's going to have some kind of interest in it, even if you're not into the electronics. We'll call it. It's a lot about electronics. If you're not into it, it's just
history.
good info that you say, "Hey, wow, really?" You know what I mean?
Well, as a matter of fact, if it is on this Saturday, do us a favor, check it out. Global Television Network, 8 o'clock Saturday mornings, coast to coast, except the left coast. They view the product. They sample it at 10 and 10:30, BC and Alberta, respectively. And, of course, you can also catch it if you miss it on Global Television Saturday. You can catch it on the Sportsman's Channel 4 days a week. Check your local listings for that. And for those of you south of the border, you can get the Fishing Canada show on WFN, World Fishing Network. And the reason I'm asking,
Don't forget Monday. Don't forget if they miss it Saturday
And
on
the
Monday, the
tube,
YouTube.
baby.
They get the YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, the YouTube.
For you
I like
YouTubists. Go to YouTube. Catch that on the following Monday. The reason I'm asking it, because it is a very unusual episode for us to produce, and we'd like your feedback on it. We'd like to know what you think. If you think it sucks, let us know that it sucks. If you think you'd like to see more of this, let us know you want to see more. Whatever your comments are, we will welcome them, and we will use them in deciding what we're doing in the future with that type of show.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Listener feedback. Speaking of listener feedback, there you go, Mr. Bowman.
In response to our episode with Sean from Cabin River Outdoors, from Dave Maddock 8480 via YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, he's a YouTubist.
He's a YouTubist. Yeah, YouTube, as Angela. He plays the tube. Okay, love the show, guys. Sean is the realest off grinder that I watch. One disagreement, and I bet Sean felt the same way when we said it, but it is too classy to disagree. So Sean's too classy to disagree with whatever we
By
said.
the way, that's off-gridder, not grinder.
I'm grinder.
You're thinking of something else.
I'm thinking of my head. Grinder.
You're grinding
Judas
right now.
Priest wrote a song called Grinder, and it's friggin' Grinder looking for meat. It's a beauty. I highly recommend Grinder by Judas Priest.
But this one's
This is a gritter. This is an off gritter.
Yeah.
Like a critter.
Like a critter.
Critter getter.
Like a critter. Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing.
There should never be a course. So remind us, Dean, and me, Dean. What did we say here to begin with?
So Angelo suggested that there should be a course that people can attend to learn more about this before
being an off
you
grinder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Before you go out and to the woods and get hurt and
Exactly.
Okay.
all that, there should be somewhere you can go to learn about this.
Gotcha.
Learn
It's a
how to
very
live off the
valid
land, right?
request or thought or whatever. Yeah. So then
Well,
he said,
I mean, my thinking is that, if you're going to go out in the woods to see if you can survive off the land, you go to a survivor kind of course just to learn the basics on how to
I
survive.
would think so.
Because otherwise you die.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah. So there should never be a course that needs to be taken by anybody to be able to be an off gritter.
Or grinder.
Because you're going to be grinding if you don't. As soon as we get a society that try to teach, we lose all creativity.
Well, there's something to be said there.
Just look at other creative entertainment, music in the 60s and 70s versus today, movies in the past versus today, artwork in the past versus today. Even sports are getting repetitive compared to the 60s, 70s, and 80s. No regulations for me on choice of freedom, please. Please keep up the great show, guys. 40 more.
Thank you, sir.
It sounds like he's not a fan of my generation or Dean's generation.
I have to put up a bit of an argument here. I didn't think I would ever catch myself in this position, but aside from the 60s and 70s music, which I do agree,
I think Grinder was in that time too, but
there you go.
maybe 80s.
I think, movies are better today. I think
Yeah, I agree with that, but that's just
100%.
personal, right? I think
100% better.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our entertainment options have gone up a notch or two with the technology that we're now employing in those areas.
Yeah.
Sports, man, I don't know if I can agree with this guy at all. I'd much rather watch a really good competitive hockey game or baseball game or whatever today than from the 60s and 70s. Because quite honestly, when you watch a hockey game, although there's some incredible superstars that will, they will forever be at the top of my Mount Rushmore for superstars. But in terms of the game, like hockey, for example, oh my God, it's so much more exciting today than it was back when Bobby Orr was
I'm
there.
assuming that in hockey and all sports, there's a teaching aspect. The guy's Sidney Crosby's a great friggin'
course.
natural, but my God, he has to go through a lot of training to get that way, right? So it may be, I don't know if you call it a course, but and then as Ange said, I have to agree with him at first. If you send, oh, I'm going to be an off-gridder, and you're from the city, you're one of those purple hairs from the city that doesn't really go outside at all, and you're going to try and survive out there, you're not going to do very well out there. I'm going to guarantee you that's not going to work out well for you. So, I don't know. I mean, could we survive out there? Yeah, but we could say we've lived a course our whole lives by being out in the outdoors, hunting, fishing, whatever we're doing, right? So, even that, you still need to learn stuff. So, I don't know. Music's... See, because music kind of split to me in that sense, in that there are some like Stevie Ray Vaughan. I bet he never took a guitar lesson, and he's one of the best guitar players out there. But Joe Satriani is another one of my favorite guitar players. That guy teaches guitar. He teaches the best of the best in guitar and he's still a natural and can play that. So maybe with music it might be, I don't know.
You
there's
don't
some
think
naturals.
that music from the 60s and 70s and maybe 80s, a portion of the 80s, is better overall, is better than today's music?
I think the only things that survived from the 60s and 70s are the good ones. If you go 50 years from today, the only good songs that we'll be listening to from this era are going to be the good ones. I'm sure you guys had a lot of shitty music too. But the thing is that you can't remember the bad songs because they aren't memorable.
I mean,
Good point.
I'm not a radio guy and all that, but I have to agree here with Ange in that the 60s and 70s and even 80s, the music, it still lives on in the head. You can hear, we could go back to that era and listen on the radio and say, and you know that song. I know that song. I know that song. That's not even my genre of music, and I just know it all about that well. Nowadays, I mean, I don't listen to Taylor Swift and stuff like that, but...
That's my point. That's my point.
But I mean, so the old stuff maybe on that one. But anyway.
Dean, you might as well jump in on this too. Make it a course. What do we call this? Foursome. Let's go. Let's go with.
I listen to mostly old music. Like I think like late 60s for sure is probably mostly what I listen to, and then the other stuff I listen to now, like a lot of the punk I like is from the 80s. There's some good new punk, but a lot of that is so heavily inspired by the past that you could almost place it anywhere. Mm-hmm. So I think the sound back then is better than now.
But what about this teaching thing? This is what we're talking about,
yeah,
right?
For
teaching
talking about
lessons.
Well, yeah, I think 99% of people would benefit from it. I think you get the odd like prodigy in anything that is just like naturally good. But I don't think, I think if you were going to mandate a course to be able to go live off grid, that would be a bit of an issue. But if it's just available and it's an option, I don't see an issue with that at all.
All right. Well, hopefully we answered that for Dave Madoc, 8480 via YouTube. So we agree and we disagree both. So great points. The only really good thing that we all agree 110%, Dave, is the final remark. Keep up the great shows. 40 more. 40 more.
40 more.
40 more. I love it. Grass carp, Mr. Bowman.
Brought to you by the Invasive Species Center. Oh, we're just going to pound it to you again. We're going to say, look at this picture behind us. Go to the invasivecarp.ca and download the imagery. And because it's an upcoming and ongoing problem in Ontario for sure. And I'm sure it's going to be, it's going to be spreading. It's obviously in the U.S., Lake Ontario side. Lake Ontario is the big one, but Lake Erie as well. For us is Lake Ontario, Lake Erie. And do they go upstream? Could they Could they travel up?
They
Well,
do in the States. For
They
sure.
travel
Yeah.
up the Mississippi to get here, right?
Because they could they go to Huron? You know what I mean?
Sure they
Up
could.
through the St. Clair and Detroit rivers and
If you and I can remember,
Lake St. Clair. Go
we
ahead.
should ask our guests today if they have ever encountered one.
Oh, that'd be a great one.
Yeah, if we could remember.
I remember when Pete and we watched the Bruce power plant footage that they sent to us a while ago, and we thought they were in the background, but it turned out they weren't. It wasn't them. There was like some weird quillback species.
Yeah,
There was
quillback. Here's a great
buffalo.
name: the quillback carp sucker.
Whoa.
That's the name.
Are you allowed to
That's
say
a
that? on the
song.
show?
That-
I could say anything
That
I
is
want.
that is a
That's
song
right,
from the
you old
60s.
quillback carp sucker. Yeah. It's serious. That's the name. It's a sucker. It's in the sucker family. So there you go.
God, there you go.
Anyways.
That's a good way to spruce up the old invasive species center
There
report.
you go.
I'll tell you that right
is
now.
probably an invasive species in itself, I would bet. Anyways, invasivecarp.ca. Download the images. Get yourself knowledgeable to the look of the species. And if you get one, dispatch of it and bring it in and show the MNR or get a hold of the website or whatever.
There you go. In the news, brought to you by J&P. J&B, our good friends at J&B Cycle and Marine, Ontario's largest Princecraft Mercury dealer, period, and maybe Canada, maybe the world. We're not sure. But they're good folks. Good folks.
Them
to
are good
begin
guys.
with. Them are
Yeah.
great guys. In the news, MLF launches new competitive fishing game in 2026.
Wow.
Now, Dean, did you do the research on
video
this?
game
Did you
on
rip
I
somebody
did.
off? Or
I did do the research on this. A few different. So they actually have a website for the game. Although I had never heard of any of this, and I think I'm the only one in the room who didn't. Nick might actually be better to speak about this because I am totally out of the loop on video games.
All right.
I'm worse than you, Dean. Okay.
So-
I
Me and you are
do
together.
not game.
Video games and me got along for a long
So
time.
it's launching on something called Steam.
Not something called. This is like
Steam.
saying a movie's coming out on Netflix. Like
Exactly.
Steam
Dean and
is
I've never heard
like
it.
this is like
Steam.
Toyota's making a new car. Everyone's heard of Toyota. Come on, Dean. So, anyways, it's coming out on Steam. I actually just threw it up on your screen for you guys in front of you.
Yeah, we're looking
It's
at
called
it.
MLF Pro Catch.
Great graphics.
It looks like it's going to
There
be
you go.
rendered
Suspending
really well.
jerkbait there, nice.
Suspended jerk baits. The description for it is cast, catch, and compete in the most immersive fishing sim ever made. Explore legendary waters, battle over 40 unique species, customize real gear, and climb the leaderboards and online tournaments with real world prizes.
I always wanted to do that. I
So
wanted
that's
to
pretty
do
cool.
A virtual bass fishing tour.
Okay, it's also being produced by a company called Ultimate Games SA, and they have. Oh my god, I've played this game. It's funny. It's called Crime Simulator. They've also done Ultimate Fishing Simulator.
Of course you have.
Oh, because it's just funny. Like it's like lock picking stuff. It's pretty great. Taxi Simulator, Hunting Simulator, Thief Simulator.
So they got a lot of experience.
They're a
in-
simulator.
I wondered though,
developer.
again, and I'm like Dean. I am so green on video games that I don't know anything about it. But the normal, it seems like the normal video gamers, they like to kill shit. They like to go out there and shoot and battle, and you know what I mean. Like it's true. COD.
Well, there is that
Yes.
element. There is that
They're
element.
killing
for
the
sure.
zombie. You're going to kill the zombies. It
It's-
always seems to be a fun thing for everybody. Even in the world in our world, Deer Hunter was it Deer Hunter?
yeah.
Came out and you got to shoot the deer and kill.
Yeah,
It was a hunting game. Sort
I
of thing
think
like
a
that.
big
So-
thing with video games, and I think this might be why this does well, is they're always an escape to do whatever you can't do in real life. Right? So like Grand Theft Auto is
That'd
such
work,
a big
yeah.
game because you can do all this crazy things and
And
stuff
I
that you
think
can't do.
the real good example here should be F1 and NASCAR. The drivers today on F1 and NASCAR, where do you think they get their experience? On these games, on simulators.
Simulators, yeah.
Well,
Especially F1.
Yeah,
I mean,
F1 is awesome.
There's a kid who's racing now, and he's winning like crazy. I mean, his whole background. He's a 18-year-old kid driving these monster F1 cars, and his experience and background,
Gaming.
gaming.
Wow.
So I see this as
But is that as popular as the shooting games and all that? Is it? Do you think
They're just differently
it's different.
populated.
It's
different.
Yeah, I know.
It's like action movies versus rom-coms, right? Yeah, they're all movies, they're all video games, but there's totally different demographics.
Yeah, yeah.
to what people
if
enjoy.
this is
love
as
that.
good as it should be, what I've always had in my head, this is a great place for young anglers and pro anglers to go and hone
Hell
their
yeah.
skills, right?
Yeah.
Because it's variable. It should be variable, just like nature, right?
Yeah.
You should. This game should be organic, totally organic. So you could hit a cold front, you could not. You might find them deep, you might not. They're feeding. There's the variables that we face out in the field should be faced on this game. If that's the case, then it's the perfect tool for both amateurs and pros to hone their skills on.
And it
catching fish.
would be very cool if literally Kevin Van Dam was playing on that game and you're playing against Kevin Van Dam in a bass tournament. You know what I mean?
It does
actually
look like
compete
there's
with
going to
him.
be you can play solo or social.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
yeah,
that'd be
and
cool.
multiplayer global tournaments. It also looks like they're going to have fish spooking as a thing here because it's just devlog number 2 mentions that.
Fish spooking. Now think about that. That's what I'm talking about. Organic.
Yeah, that's the
It's
organic.
like you can actually spook fish.
Yeah.
And it looks like, opposed to a lot of racing sims, well, some racing sims have it, but there's going to be real brands like Abu Garcia, Suzuki,
Wow,
Strike King.
that's in the fishing industry.
I know,
That's,
but I'm just saying that a lot of games, they can't get the licenses for that. So it seems pretty
Right.
cool that it's going to be
Well, I'm
very
assuming
realistic.
MLF sponsors probably are, because you just said a bunch of them right there.
Yeah,
They are
Getty,
the MLF sponsors.
Blues.
So, yeah. Cool.
It looks
right.
really cool.
All right. Nice job, Dean, bringing this to our attention.
Maybe I'll play it. Maybe
We're gonna
I'll
have to get
download
that game.
Steam.
We'll get it. We'll play it here. Play
I
it in
got
the studio.
so again my very limited video. So I got the Shimano fishing game years ago, many years ago, and there was 3 modes. There was a bass boat, competition, whatever, and there was something else. And then there was the spear fishing mode. That's the one I went to. I gravitated to this, again, going to the killing. I was spearing all these fish. It was like I got away from that regular stuff so quick and speared them all. So
You're not well. That's all happening at fishingcanada.com. The whole story, we're obviously just highlighting some things, but if you want to find out more about this wonderful competitive angling world that's going to go digital, check it out. MLF launching MLF. God, my tongue
Major
is
League
not
Fishing,
working.
in
My
case
tongue
anybody-
is not working very well today. Do
That's
you want to have a look at it for me?
stick her out there. Show everybody. Stick her out at the camera.
All the info is available at fishingcanada.com. Fan question of the week submitted by Derek Halvick via email. Is that good or bad, Dean?
It's bad if he wants to win a prize because
Okay.
we still have, you have to be a YouTube subscriber.
Okay.
Send your question in there. This guy, he emailed it in. We still enjoy it, but you don't get anything.
Get nothing.
But thank you, Derek.
He says, hey guys, I just watched your Temiskaming episode and couldn't believe how stained the water looked.
No.
Was that some of the lowest visibility you've ever fished in? And when the water's that dirty, how much do you have to adjust your approach or lure selection?
Well, my man, I was on that shoot, and it is as dirty as it looked from above the water. It is like nasty. So Temiskaming is the headwaters of the Ottawa River, and the unique part of Lake Temiskaming is it's got a clay bottom. It's got this clay base, and with this flow, constant north to south flow going down the river, it just has a constant stirring up of all this clay that you can't find. You can rarely find clear water. The one place we found clear water, Steve and I. It's probably, no, it's not there. It was at the Kippawa River was coming in from another lake. That would just be this big clear streak right straight down,
It's
and then it
weird
just
when you see
dirtied
that.
all up. Like it was crazy looking. But to my point though, like is that's the dirtiest water I've ever fished in, and we had no problem getting big smallmouth on tiny baits. So stuff like Ned rigs and little 3 and 3.5 inch Neds. We had no problem getting them. And I was thinking, wow. And we were watching them on live scope and we could see them react to it and saying, how can they even see that? But the key to it, once we got back to the studio here and I looked at some of the underwater footage that we have a camera going and shooting underwater and all that. And it looks like shit. You can't see anything like that. But when they pointed the camera down, had the camera deep pointing up, you wouldn't believe the clarity that you could see. It was like 100% different than top looking down. Like I don't know if I can explain this right.
Yeah.
And it's because the sun was creating this silhouette of the bait, and you could see like 3 to 5 feet at least up, and that's what these fish are doing. They're feeding up, right? They're all feeding up. So that water clarity, as bad as we think it is, don't think it's really, really bad. These fish can see and survive in it, especially when they live in it all day, every day. It's constant 24/7 all year there. So it's dirty as hell, but your confidence level, my confidence level goes way down when I see that. I hate it. I never like that. I like clear water because it's just my brain thinking the fish can see it, but they can see very well, and they can feel vibrations very well. We were throwing different baits with rattles in them. Like we used obviously a bunch of Yozuri stuff. That twitch bait was great up in there. We could throw a big twitch bait, and I can imagine now looking up from the bottom, that thing would look huge above them, right? Big silhouette.
It's a profile, big profile, silhouetted with the sun lit sky behind it.
Yeah, so they can see a lot more than you think under that water.
Yeah,
so.
I think the thing to add to that too is that these fish are, those fish on that lake, that's their world. So
Every
it's
day.
not like they just encountered that and said, "Oh my God, look at the Mercury." That's where they were created.
That's right.
So for them, that is the real world. For us as anglers, when we get into that environment, we say, "Holy smokes, what am I going to do now?"
Yeah.
For those fish, that's where they live, man.
Yeah,
so that's the
these
color
smallmouth, they're 4 and 5 pounders. Those are 10 to 15-year-old fish. They've been living in that water for 15 years, getting that big. Yeah. They're eating, right? So it's part of their day, and they know how to cope with it.
This episode is brought to you by Sail. Sail is proudly Canadian and stocked with over 100 Canadian brands you know and love.
From rods and reels to sonars to kayaks and every last lure you've seen on the Fishing Canada show, Sail has all the gear to get you on the water.
Drop into one of 12 stores across Ontario and Quebec and talk to the real fishing specialists, or gear up online anytime at sail.ca.
Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures.
This episode is brought to you by Anglers Leaderboard and its Spot Mapper feature. Spot Mapper connects your catch data to your spots, allowing you to view your catch history. With Spot Mapper, your locations stay completely private. Only you can access them, so your favorite spots stay your secret. Learn more at anglersleaderboard.com. All right, let's get to our main feature of the show. These fine people were with us when they first put a product out. I think if you could call going viral in the film business, I think that would be a good term for it.
Was for us, that's for sure. We loved it.
Today's guests, Inspired Planet Productions owners, Yvonne Drabert and Zach Melnick, co-own and producers of the show as well. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Good morning, guys.
Pleasure. In the first time you were here, you had the wow factor because you were using not new technology as much as it was first time that we saw that kind of filmmaking.
Resolution, quality.
The underwater footage, was spectacular. It was the first time that we saw that in a full length production. Are you going to wow us again today? Give us something else that was at least that good.
Always the goal. Always the goal to wow you guys. That's number one.
I like
Basically,
that.
we took what we did last time and we thought, how can we make that way more awesome? And that's what Hidden Below the Great Lakes is all about.
You're keying in on different species. We'll get into that for just a moment. But going back to the start of it all, for folks who might not be familiar with the product, we kind of intersected your timeline about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. But you folks started working in the film business, I see from my notes, much earlier than that. Maybe you can give us a little more of a background, because I don't think we touched on that the last time you were here.
Yeah, no worries. So Zach and I are a husband and wife filmmaking team. We've been making films and television together for about 25-ish years.
Ouch.
Yeah, we are high school sweethearts. And we have always told a lot of, real Canadian stories, a lot of history stories. And eventually we started getting into natural history stories. And one of our first big exposures to that was doing some work up on Great Bear Lake. And we got to meet, some of the world's largest lake trout there. And that started the wheels turning of how can we tell better underwater stories? And Zach's a real tech nut. So he started looking into, is there anyone doing cool, we started hearing about aerial drones. Is there any way to use some of that tech underwater and see what's going on underwater in a better way? And so then we jumped into underwater drones, and I'll let Zach pick it up from there.
Well, yeah. And while this technological revolution was happening, there was this huge change in the Great Lakes with the invasion of the quagga mussels. And that made the water much clearer and was likely impacting a number of species around the Saugeen Bruce Peninsula where we live. And that led us on a journey to try to use this new technology to tell this sort of deep water ecosystem story in a way that it really had never been done before. And we were showing the science community really, and everybody else, what it looked down there, which was basically an invasive mussel bed with a few fish, right? And so that's why we decided to make All Too Clear beneath the surface of the Great Lakes. And that really focused on that huge change that was happening out there in the middle of the lakes that nobody really knew too much about. But now our new show is really going all in on that wildlife, because we learned that we could film fish behavior, even the birds and turtles and snakes and everything else in a way that really hasn't been possible before. So now we're leaning into that capability and really how people were reacting, like you guys, to seeing that freshwater life closer to how you might imagine right now. If you think about the underwater world in your imagination, in your mind, you're probably seeing a whale or a shark or a tuna or something. You're not thinking about freshwater. You just aren't, because our screens, both our phones and our TVs, have been filmed with endless images of the oceans forever. But in the freshwater world, there are many species, and in the Great Lakes you have millions and millions and millions, tens of millions of fish down there doing some really cool stuff. So we really wanted to use this technology and show people really that magic and that wonder in a way that we haven't really been able to see before.
Did you guys start, or did you start above the water? You're filming and all that, and then said, "Oh, wait a minute,
there's a whole world down there."
Like, what did you do before the underwater stuff?
Yeah, so we did start above water with, traditional, terrestrial cameras and that kind of thing.
Right.
But as we started getting more into telling nature stories, we started exploring other technologies to tell those stories better. So we're early adapters of aerial drones. We've got one in the garage that can lift 30 kilos, that kind of thing. And so every time we kind of tried a new technology and saw that there was potential for it, we kind of took that extra step. And really, with the underwater stuff, we first started out with a little cheap ROV, and we threw it in the water in Tobermory here during lake trout spawning season, and we just saw how the lake trout responded to it. Like, we were able to get right up close to them, see things that we didn't think we'd ever be able to see, and then that kind of twigged us to, hey, there's really something here. But with this new show, Hidden Below, we're kind of reducing the amount of humans as much as possible, just really focusing on the fish and the other critters, because we saw how excited folks like you got when we just really focused on those animals instead of all those annoying humans.
Well, it's funny, as
I love it.
as anglers, we've always fantasized about what happens below the waterline, right? We've always, and not only fantasized, but a lot of us have speculated on what was actually taking place down there, to the point where we thought we really understood fish, and we knew what they were doing and their habits and all that stuff. And lo and behold, as soon as we did start seeing what was going down there, there were a lot of changes. And you guys are discovering that now, because what we assumed is not reality anymore. You guys are discovering all kinds of interesting facts.
Well, that's one of the exciting things about this, is that we started out as storytellers, but now we're kind of scientists as well. So we spend about half our time filming for science now. So in All Too Clear, we filmed what we believe is the first documentation of lake whitefish spawning. So no one had seen that, we think, before. And so scientific paper came out of that. But for the past 4 years now, every November and early December, we've been out there chasing whitefish. This past December, we were up on Lake Simcoe, and we got just some fantastic footage, all kinds of spawning behavior, and it's really, I think, informing what the science community knows about these species, the lake whitefish in particular, and that's just really exciting for us. So, and it's wonderful because we get to tell their story and also make a contribution to the science as well.
Yeah. And that Lake Simcoe shoot, was the lake frozen yet in December?
It was not. It was we stayed right up until the harbor froze where we were putting the boat in.
The last day we were, cutting our way out of the launch. So
Right.
it was a bit on the edge there.
Can you guys go ahead? Sorry.
I was just going to say, one of the interesting things about doing that work is we had struggled with trying to film this species who are getting sort of less and less in the Great Lakes proper. We've struggled for a long time, but we really kind of made a breakthrough, us and the people we were working with the MNR and the Great Lakes Fishery Commission, because we found out that terribly for us humans is that they seem to like to spawn only in the worst possible weather. So that was that, and now that we believe is the trigger. So they were around the spawning shoals, but they weren't spawning unless the wind was ripping and the waves were ripping over top, and we could barely be out there. I mean, with the police boat came to check on us to make sure that we were all right, because it was not really a time fit for human beings out there. It was all right. We were doing it as safely as possible, but that's just one of the things that we think we've sort of discovered, is that the lake whitefish like to do it in the extremely rough weather.
Well, I can think of worse things, I suppose.
Got to pass your time somehow when you hate the weather.
Is it something that's just whitefish that you noted this on, or have you seen it happening in other species?
Well, now that's the question. Is it, all gorgonids, that type of fish? And we've been trying to also film, for instance, bloater, which is also a gorgonid species, and haven't been able to do it. So we are wondering, should we be, going out there when it's really horrible? So it's kind of fun, because once you answer one question, it springs all these other questions. And that's the fun part about what we're doing.
What depth?
I should say that the science has noted that lake trout also do like that flow of water
Like it a bit rough.
over the spawning reef.
What depth are those whitefish spawning at? And Simcoe, how deep was it?
So they were spawning just as you might imagine, so they were coming up to the top of that shoal, the top of that little reef, and it was about a meter at the top, 3 feet.
So it's getting moved around a lot. That water is really moving up there, turned up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were coming right, and then they were just zooming all around the top of that reef, and it was really cool to see. Wow. And they were actually flipping totally upside down, the fish, splashing themselves off the surface when they were doing this, and then releasing thousands of eggs at a time, and they were raining down into the reef.
That's crazy. Wow.
I'm sure this is just the tip of the iceberg. You guys are going to discover all kinds of interesting things that folks like us will have the wow factor, because you're just starting. Think about it. This is just all still brand new. We just finished doing an episode on the Fishing Canada show that it was a total departure from our normal type of production. And it was all about anglers' first view below the waterline and how they first got interested in knowing what was going on below the boat, and the whole history of electronics, right from the very first to today. And so we've been kind of working with this for the last month and a half, 2 months, this whole the interest of looking below the waterline, below the boat. So you guys, what you guys are doing is just like way over the top.
Next level by far.
Not even the next. It's completely out of this.
I'm with you though, Angelo, because I think I grew up on Lake Erie in the 80s in a time when we were told, the lakes are gross and polluted and how could there possibly be anything down there worth seeing? And now that we have this technology, it lets us see these worlds that are totally alive, sometimes full of fish. And it could not be more exciting. It could not flip that narrative more that the lakes are these amazing living places. And we grew up thinking, they're gross and garbage. Yeah. So it's pretty exciting to have this ability to see what they're up to now.
Speaking of clarity, what is the range that you folks can work with? Ideally, we'd all like to be shooting underwater footage in a, swimming pool with tap water. That's not the situation out there. What sort of range do you have with that camera?
So it totally depends on the clarity. Like we can punch through a little bit better than what you can see with your average camera, for sure. But we're also using technologies now like sonar on the robot itself. So we can get a good image of what's happening with the shoreline or a shipwreck or something about 300 feet away from the robot or a school of fish and use that to guide us to get closer. But we're always chasing the clear water too, because we're trying to create those images that really try and flip that narrative that Yvonne was talking about, as this kind of dark and murky place that you wouldn't want to be in and turn into just kind of this like magical environment. So we're still chasing the clearest of the clear water. We spent a lot of time in Huron in Michigan and Superior.
And we can get in those lakes, we can get an image without additional lights at 300 feet. Oh my God. So that's how clear those lakes are. And we have a super low light camera on our robot, but that says a lot about the clarity of those lakes. But we're also, the robot itself can go up to 500 meters deep, which is deeper than any of our Great Lakes. But in June, we're actually going to test the limits and go to the deepest part of the Great Lakes, Superior Maximus, we're calling it, cool. On Lake Superior. So,
cool. And so that's about 400 plus meters down. Like they don't. That's deep, when they did the sounding of that was in the 50s, right? So who knows like what the actual like total depth is, but believe it or not, that area has only been visited once by a U.S. research submarine in 1985.
Oh, wow.
So the deepest spot of the world's largest lake has not been looked at with cameras in 40 years.
Oh my God.
It's awesome. Almost hard to imagine that, right? Because you're constantly hearing about different expeditions in the ocean, right? So what we're trying to do is just sort of apply that ocean technology to these inland oceans, really, right? And if you talk to a lot of the scientists, that's what they'll say. It's like, oh yeah, if you really start studying and looking at these environments, they behave a lot more like an ocean than a lake that most of them have studied in school.
Mm-hmm. Do you have to have a separate vessel for the cabling on something like that?
It's actually fairly like a big suitcase. So usually when we're doing shallow stuff, we have a little cable that's about.
But I'm talking about when you're going down to 500 meters. Like I can't even envision the cabling that it would take. That's 1,500 feet. Like
it's not going to be the easiest situation, but because our robot uses it uses a fiber optic tether. So that means there's a little piece of glass, and then most of the cable is actually made up of the material that gives it strength. So it's not like a traditional old school ROV cable that we're hauling. That's a giant hose. Right. This is pretty small, so we can do it by hand, but it's going to be there are going to be two humans whose job it is just to manage that cable, because we can't send a signal through the water the same way we can through the air. And so that's why all these underwater crafts have a tether to them.
But it will be a massive challenge. You're right. Probably one of the most challenging things that we have done. So we'll be using something called a clump weight to help bring the robot down and reduce the drag on that tether. We're working quite closely with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, who, believe it or not, do netting down there at that extreme depth. Oh and so that's why we know that there are fish down there. There's special deep water lake trout, and they're actually finding that a large number of these deep water lake trout are they're calling them zombie fish. So they're looking emaciated, and they're not sure exactly why that's happening. So that's part of the mission, is to work with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources to see if we can get any more info about what's going on down there with those deep water lake trout. There's also several fish species that have never been filmed alive in nature before down there. So there's the kai, and then Yvonne already mentioned the bloater. But we're definitely targeting them as well, because imagine that, just like in the deep oceans, there are numerous fish species that so far we've only seen because they've been pulled up from a net way, way, way deep down there, and they're dead and they look bloated because their swim bladders have expanded. And we just don't know what they look like when they're down in their natural habitat.
That's fascinating in itself. Do you get a lot of work outside of the film industry for your services? It sounds like you do. I mean, this sounds like it's something you could.
We do. We spend about half our time now filming for science and half our time filming for your documentary work, but they totally complement each other.
Sure.
And so when we're filming for science, we're also, filming for storytelling, because the people we work with are delighted when we make stories about it. So it's a really great merger of science and filmmaking.
Is going back to water clarity, I've always thought Lake Superior was the cleanest of all the lakes. Is there a difference between Superior and Huron and Michigan and Ontario and Erie? I think it's a little dirtier, but is Superior the cleanest of all?
That's a bit of a tricky question. So Superior doesn't, if you remember, Superior only has a little bit of invasive mussels. So in, Huron and Michigan, that clarity is a result of all those mussels, trillions, quadrillions of mussels sucking all the little critters, all the little plants out of the water column and changing how the food web works. Up in Superior, they don't have the mussels. Partially, one reason is, they don't have the limestone there to make their shells. So they haven't had that kind of invasion. So in Superior, there's a lot of stuff in the water. And so a lot of that stuff is actually phytoplankton, which is tiny plants, and then the little critters, zooplankton, that eat those tiny plants. And of course, zooplankton are food for fish, all the way up the food chain. So in Superior, we have more stuff. Does that make them not clean? I wouldn't say that. They're more productive. They're more alive, perhaps. But the visibility in Superior, generally not as good. And in Erie's a bit of its own special situation there, especially in the western basin of Lake Erie, where we have lots of nutrients coming in off the land. So again, that changes the clarity quite a bit. But in Huron, Michigan, and Ontario too, you've got a lot of mussels working very hard to clear up those lakes.
And especially in the offshore zone, just to clarify, that's where it's super ultra clear, right? Because that's where there's the bajillions of mussels. And it's the same in Lake Ontario, especially certain times of year. Like right now, if you went to the middle of Lake Ontario, you would have extraordinarily water clarity. The same with Lake Huron in Michigan. It would be like the Caribbean, basically.
Wow. Interesting. And your camera, you said your camera can shoot 300 feet and you can see these images at 300 feet out front of you? Sort of thing like that?
Without lights. And so it's a very low light sensitive camera. So we can see actually closer to 400 feet out there right now in the middle of the lake, in the middle of the day without lights. And so that means you can see vast underwater landscapes. Because usually you turn on the lights, right? And then you just see this little narrow field of view. But the really exciting stuff is when we show people shipwrecks and unusual underwater geological formations, and then you can see really far. How far you could see, maybe 100 feet or more anyway.
Wow. That's awesome.
Although when we film shipwrecks, Zach always gets distracted by the fish around the shipwrecks. So, I mean, definitely in your
That's good. That's awesome.
I love your passion for what you do, by the way, both of you. You can see it on your faces, and that obviously translates to the quality of the product that you put out. But something that intrigues me about what you do, and it's kind of akin to the wonderful documentaries about the cheetah or the tigers and these animals in the wild, and the storytelling that goes into making those documentaries. And the narrative says, now this cheetah 6 months ago was father and mother was over there, and they came and she heard her paw, and I'm intrigued by that kind of storytelling because they have the visuals to substantiate what they're saying. You guys have taken that below the water. Now you guys can, whether it's theorizing or whether it's real, you can tell us that those whitefish, it took the wind to blow in on that reef in order for them to start reproducing and turning upside down in the water. Based on the images that you've captured, you can write that narrative, which is wonderful. I am always been intrigued by that kind of, call it documentary, whatever the classification is for what you do. Because sometimes you wonder when you're watching these things late at night and you say, well, how the hell did they know that orangutan was originally, part of that pod of animals,
Well, I have a fish version of this that we did this past fall. So yeah, that's exactly. We are always trying to think of what the story is before we go out and shoot stuff, but we don't always get what we hope to get, and sometimes we're really surprised by the cool stuff we get. So this past fall, we went out with the folks at the Lake Superior National Marine Conservation Area up in Nipigon on Lake Superior, and they have this really beautiful fish there called the coaster brook trout. You folks might have heard of. I suspect. They're very beautiful. They have a bright red belly when they have their spawning colors on. And we went there in September, and the parks folks and all the other folks they work with are like, we think there's coaster brook trout out in the islands. Now, these guys are brook trout. They should be making their babies in rivers and streams, right? But they didn't see them out in the outer islands, even, late into the fall. So September, we get in our boat, we go out to the outer islands, we're looking around, and lo and behold, we find a really big school of about 30 coaster brook trout, all with their bright bellies looking beautiful, out around the islands as those they're staging to get ready for something. And so we think, they're gonna do it out here somewhere. So a month later, we come back and we are looking for them, and lo and behold, we find them on the outer islands making babies.
No.
And so it's pretty cool. And we have some footage we can share with you guys of that too. But basically the female brook trout, they dig a nest, a red, with the side of their body, like with their tails. So we got this footage, really cool footage of the lady digging out the nest, and then the males come in, and the males actually fight for dominance, fight to see who's the one that's going to be making the babies. And so we got a lot of great footage of the males fighting. And then when the moment itself actually happens, the fish make some pretty hilarious faces. And then there's a couple of sneaker males that come in and also try to fertilize the eggs. And
then after that, there's a pack of round whitefish who are egg predators waiting in the wings to come in and see if they can eat those eggs, right?
Really?
And so all this drama is going out way out in Lake Superior, 80 kilometers or so from where the closest river spawning population, which is where they thought these guys spawn, right? They spawn in the Nipigon River, and then they move out into Lake Superior, and they thought they all moved back into the river to spawn. But what this footage verifies is that, no, they're actually spawning in amongst the islands along the shore too, which is fantastic news, really, because this is an incredible species. It's really a symbol of Lake Superior, and it's a symbol of freshwater health. Like, these fish require pristine freshwater conditions in order to reproduce and survive. And just a few years ago, they were in dire straits. So it really shows them nature is resilient. We're doing much better management of our rivers, and that because those populations are increasing, they're finding new places to spawn way, way far away, and even in far different conditions from we thought that they were spawning. We thought they were spawning just in rivers, right? But no, they're actually spawning out there in these like pristine, beautiful shoreline conditions. It just, there's no humans out there at the very end of October, early November.
We interrupt this program to bring you a message from Anglers Leaderboard, an AI-powered platform built for today's anglers. Use your phone and the photo measure board to automatically detect length and species, log catches, and track your stats over time. Whether you're fishing solo or joining a regional tournament, ALB helps you stay organized and competitive. Head over to anglersleaderboard.com to learn more and start using ALB today. Yeah. I just watched your footage before we went on here of that brook trout spawning thing. To me, it looks like your camera is right on them. Are you that close with your camera to them, like right in their face, basically? And they're not moving away? They're not scared or anything?
When fish are spawning, they have other things to do.
That great big monster there doesn't scare them at all.
Yeah, we come in, we do, we've been doing this now for a couple of years. So we've developed a few techniques to try, sometimes fish do swim away just like that. And, our robot's not fast enough to catch up with them. So we just let them go. But, we've developed a few techniques to help us get closer. And it's a lot about spending time with them. And that's a big difference with a robot versus a human. The robot can be underwater for up to 10 hours. And so we can just take our time getting slowly closer. And over time, when the fish realize our robot's not going to try to eat them, they'll just start doing their fishy stuff. And especially with spawning, they are so busy that they are not terribly concerned about what we're doing, as long as we're not moving a lot, right? We're just pretty chill. And that scene with the coaster brook trout, like we were there for many, many hours waiting for them to hopefully do their thing. So, just giving it that time really is a big one. And then you just become part of the scenery.
There are no failures for you folks. I just figured that out, because you could spend 10 hours trying to get a shot and it doesn't come through for whatever reason, and it's okay. I got a feeling that you're okay with that, because you got to spend those 10 hours.
You have to be. If you're doing this kind of work, you have to be okay with many failures, though, leading up to what you see as the magic, right? And that's just part of wildlife filmmaking generally. So what we try to do is create the conditions where you want to be out there, and the team wants to be out there, and it's the chase. It's just like fishing, but with robots, and the payoff is some magical scene as far as opposed to catching a big fish.
We get skunked too, though. There's some days we don't see a single fish, and I think it is so much like angling, where you go where you think things are going to happen and where fish like, and some days you get really lucky, and some days you get skunked.
And you usually learn a lot more on the days where you weren't as lucky, right? You come home because when in our business, when things go really well, we don't have time to think about it. We don't have time to theorize. We don't have time to say, aha, I knew that, right? Because you're in it. You're. But those days where you're struggling are the days where you can actually go home and say,
oh man,
I learned something today.
I just learned something. We're shooting wrong. If they can do that, we'll just come back and say, okay, everybody, sorry, we never caught any fish. We'll see you next week in Fishing Canada, and hopefully we're going to get a couple. That's what we need to do. It'd be easier for us too, wouldn't it? I'd like that.
You mentioned earlier on in the program that you're now deploying some type of sonar on the robot to help you see what's ahead or around or behind. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah.
Sure. So there are miniature multi-beam sonar units that, cost as much as a car that you can put on these robots in order to give you a pretty accurate picture, especially of the habitat of the environment. And that goes so you can see up to 120 meters of the habitat, and about 40 meters you can see fish pretty well. And so we are using that in more turbid locations and darker conditions, like at night. So that's really helped us to help understand what's going on out there.
So you're driving you're whatever, flying the drone, whatever you want to call
Navigating.
it. Navigating. And you're watching a screen, much like we would do during a day fishing. In our case, it's live scope. But as opposed to looking at the camera or the eyes of the drone, you're actually looking at a sonar image in that case, because your camera can't see.
That's right. We have multiple screens. So we have the main screen where you look at the video, but we have a screen for the sonar system. We have a screen with the USBO mapping system, so you can see where you are in relation to the boat. We have a screen to control the camera. There's a lot of screens.
Can I just stop you there for one moment? I want you to both to now think if you were doing what you do without the services of a monitor with the camera, in other words, what the camera is seeing down below, that doesn't exist, and no sonar screen to tell you where it is, and no GPS, so you have no idea where that drone is going. Can you imagine trying to do that?
I mean, we have tried other underwater things where you couldn't see what
Anything?
the camera was seeing, and you just kind of put it in and hope for the best.
You don't know if you're facing north, south. You don't know whether the camera. Yeah,
You know, the success rate is much lower.
We spent about 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
With the drone, we bought this drone.
Oh my God, what a beast that thing was.
How long ago? 30 years ago?
At least
30 years ago. So you can imagine the technology. Our tether, like you're talking about little time. Ours was an inch. Our cabling was an inch thick.
It's like number 10 wire in there and yellow.
That in yellow. That's why I asked you, like, you have a separate boat to carry the cable, because we had a 150-foot tether on that unit. Mm-hmm. And you could not walk around our boat because we had wire cabling everywhere, and you had to be careful that it didn't grab your foot and pull you in.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, look at that. Oh,
see, that's nice. Wow. That's nice. Tiny.
This is our. It's only 300 meters, so this isn't the big
the
heavy-duty one that we go down deep with. But it's about 2 millimeters, just over 2 millimeters.
That's tiny. Yeah,
so
look at that.
That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah,
we did it with a 1-inch thick cable and nothing. We could monitor. We didn't know what we were looking at. We didn't until we got it up, basically, because where we were deploying it, it was total darkness or real murky water. We had no lights on this thing, and we just drop it overboard for, I don't know, half an hour and hope for the best. Roll the dice. We had no idea where it was, right? So,
well, you walked so we could run, right? Like that's the.
It was fun though. We ended up giving.
Yeah, that was right up your alley. That's Angelo would love that stuff. Reno would go nuts with it. Oh, come on. Okay, well, let's do it. But Angelo would be okay, let's do this.
Before that, we figured out a way of dropping one of our, at that time, $120,000 Betacam cameras, 50-pound cameras.
Yeah.
We built, we didn't build it. We commissioned a company to build us this plexiglass box that we could lower into the water, at least, because we had to have eyes under the water. We needed to see what was going on, right? And so at least we could break the surface, and we dropped this big, expensive broadcast cameras in these things and push them down. Remember those things?
Oh my God, I remember that.
Oh, the trauma with those was just insane. It was insane. So we've always been trying to see what's going on down there, and that's what really fascinates us about what you folks are doing, because it's a dream of ours.
A boat with us.
We say that. We always say that.
I'd love to.
I mean, all those screens.
The other thing, I'm going to throw something else here, because the next technological advancement that we've got into is being able to do this live, and so we're now getting into doing live streams out there.
That's cool.
Showing people in real time and answering questions. And so as part of our new show, it's going to take a couple of years to make the show, but we're doing a whole bunch of these live stream events. So the first live stream event, we're calling it Fish City, and we're doing it outside the Bruce nuclear powered generating station on Lake Huron, because there are gazillions of fish that come and use those slightly warmer waters as a place to hang out. And so on Earth Day, we're actually going there and doing a live stream to show people really one of the most magical places in the Great Lakes, because the water is clear. There's a dozen or more species that we can see. Yeah. And there's many gizzard shad, millions at certain times a year. And that's really, we've gotten such magical footage from that spot. We want to just share that with people in real time, get their reactions, and answer some of their questions.
So you're going to be able to feed the underwater images live right to the person's phone or whatever like that. No
through
problem?
Space, yes, through Starlink, and so that's awesome. Enabled this technology. So just like they do with ocean exploration, right? So they do those live streamed ocean feeds from ocean research vessels. We're taking that same concept and applying it to this freshwater ocean here. So we're going down to Bruce Power on April 22nd. And then in the middle of June, we're going to live stream that really deep dive. So we told you that we're going to try to go to the very
cool.
deepest part of Lake Superior.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
we're going to try to live stream that so people can follow along on that adventure and see what we see in real time.
Oh, that's
Wow.
amazing.
How long are you going to be putting this up for? How long is the show?
So the
live.
live stream is going to be an hour on Earth Day.
Cool.
And then people, if they miss it on Earth Day, they can watch the recording as long as YouTube exists.
At hiddenbelow.live.
There we go.
Okay, there you go. Perfect.
And we're going to be doing 3 or 4 of these every year for the next 2 years. So there'll be lots of cool things to see. And if folks want to see, one of the ones we're doing in September is the sinkholes in near Alpena, Michigan, with all this cool purple mat and stuff. Anyways, very cool stuff. Follow hiddenbelow.live and you'll be able to see all that in real time and ask questions.
For sure.
You must spend half your time researching what do I do next, right? By the sounds of it, like all these cool things.
We have, on the front of understanding what's happening out there. We have many people who know a lot more than we do, and we just keep in touch with them and keep sharing the footage and discoveries that we get, and then we get more info back from them, and it's a really great community now of people that want to really help us because it helps them too to understand what's down there.
No kidding. Yeah, when I looked at your footage again, I was watching all your stuff this morning, and that Bruce Nuclear footage, I could not believe the amount of buffalo that you guys had that you had filmed there. Like I thought it was common carp, and I'm looking, I said, no, that's not a carp. That's totally like.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because that's what the folks at Bruce Power, the scientists there, initially thought too, because they weren't really studying them, right? They just sort of saw them down there when they were there, but they thought they were common carp as well. But no, they're the buffalo, which of course is cooler. There are 2 native sort of carp-like species, but these crazy things easily live over 100 years old. You know, they don't age. They filter food out of the water like whales. Like they're pretty awesome, and they got really funny looking,
cute.
They're neat looking.
Too, so.
Yeah, they are. Wow.
That's worth a documentary just
I
there.
would think so, right there,
Right?
especially with the amount that I saw just in your one shot. Like that, imagine the lake must be loaded with them. So yeah, interesting.
The lake is one of the species that we so far anyway have mostly only seen there. Something about those warmer water conditions that really draws that species in.
Oh, interesting.
One more thing that I was going to ask you earlier on, I forgot. And if you go away, I won't sleep tonight. What are your limitations in terms of current with this machine?
Yeah, so this robot can swim about as fast as a human can swim. So anything beyond that is not the best, but what we can do is put the robot in current and go with it. So as long as we're going with it, that's fine. Usually when we operate, we use a little Minn Kota electric motor when we're going around, and then that way we can keep up with the fish. We never anchor when we're doing our work, and that just lets us move around with the robot. But current, you're right, current is a thing that we always have to be really mindful of. With the big deeper water tether, that has more strength as well, so that will let us get into a bit more current. But yeah, it's about as much as like a human would be comfortable swimming in is what we can kind of take.
Another thing about limitations, do you ever run into limitations on filming a species, like you're encroaching upon these brook trout that are spawning and all that? Do you have to work with conservation authorities, the MNR, all that stuff? Do you have to get permission, or do you just kind of work part and parcel with them? How's that work?
So we try to work part and parcel as much as possible. So with our latest show, we work very closely with the Great Lakes Fishery Commission, for instance, and the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources, and the Indigenous communities in the areas as well. And they are generally just very excited to be able to see and understand what's happening too. But it's about sharing that footage and sharing that knowledge and really kind of keeping that reciprocal. And that's how we just make sure that everybody knows what we're doing, and that if there's something in particular that they don't think we should be disturbing down there, something like that, then that's no problem, of course.
How about anglers? Have you ever encroached on an angling hole that they come out?
Yeah. So fishing line is not the best for our robot. It has,
Right.
These 8 little motors, and we have gotten line in the motors, and it's not the best. Usually when we, people often want to know what we're doing because it's kind of weird. So we're happy to talk to them. And usually if we're like, hey, is it okay if we're here for a few hours? Would you mind just moving over slightly? That's totally fine. And often they just want to see what the fish are doing. So they'll often just jump aboard for a bit and watch what the fish are up to. And usually, if there are folks there and they really don't want to move, then we'll just go somewhere else for a little while. It's not usually because we're not catching fish. Often folks are happy to be like, oh, where you should look is over in this spot where I like to angle, because they want to see what the fish are doing there too. But generally, we're not catching fish at the same time. So there we go.
Do you fish? Either one of you?
I don't think we fish to the level that you guys fish.
Well, I don't know about that. That remains to be seen.
That's certainly not.
Do you enjoy fishing?
Yeah, but I would say too, when we're doing this, we tend not to, because it feels a little bit like they become our buddies.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
when we're out working, we just tend not to do it. Because it doesn't feel as sporting.
No, I agree with you 100%. And good on you. How big a boat do you use?
We use a 22-foot landing craft built on Manitoulin Island at Henley. And so we've designed this specially for this task. So it has a little cabin at the back. It has a pretty robust solar power system. So we almost never have to plug it in, even though we run the trolling motor basically, as Yvonne said, for that spot lock constantly. And there's tons of electronics on the boat. So it's a lot of work just to keep all the electronics working. But we feel pretty confident in that craft to really go anywhere on the lakes on a really calm day anyway.
Yeah. And then we just launch, the front comes down. So when it's a calm day, we just walk the robot off the front and drop it at the front, which is
cool.
Pretty sweet. Yeah.
Nice. You don't have to do any lifting or pushing or pulling. Good on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about rain? Does that affect your shooting?
It affects me because I'm usually the one on deck. But we've got that nice little cabin on the back. So all the kind of sensitive electronics are kept out of the rain. And Zach even got a diesel heater this winter. So even when it's a little chilly, he's nice and warm. But
Nice.
Wow.
So we've been out every month of the year. In fact, we were supposed to be trying to get out to film the bloater fish, a little silver fish that they're trying to restore to Lake Ontario. Actually, we were trying to get them where they still exist here in Lake Huron. And they do their business, their spawning in January and February. So that's when you have to try to go out to try and find them. That, and they're hundreds of feet below the surface. So it's a big challenge, but we were ready to go. We got out 2 days in early January. But then it turned into the winter of the decade. So if it's hard, you can't. You got to wait till it gets really hard.
well, then we get to a point where we cut big holes in the ice and shove it through the ice.
There
and
you go.
Look around too.
That's fun. That sounds like fun.
Have either of you or anybody you've worked with, has anybody gotten seasick on freshwater anywhere in the Great Lakes or anything? Has anybody been seasick? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I would challenge you not to get seasick if you're in the cabin.
Well, it's
Yeah, no
hard
kidding.
because you're looking at screens, right? You're really locked into little screens.
Yeah.
And so when you do that on a boat, if it's doing this and you're looking at a screen, it's a danger zone.
I hear you.
There is so much room for you out there. It just behooves me. I try and get my mind around it. I mean, you're just working in one little tiny little sector of what's available to you. So right now you're freshwater, predominantly freshwater. I mean, there's the saltwater aspect of this technology that you're deploying. It sounds like you're spending a lot of time on the life cycle of these fish. In other words, the spawning cycle, which is in our conversations with you certainly has always dominated the discussions. But there's so much more that you guys haven't even touched yet that you should be working on. And as anglers, those are all the questions that we would like answered. You know, how do they feed? What time of day are they more active than not active? What's the water temperature doing to those fish? We've speculated all this stuff for years, but to have, you know, it witnessed by beautiful color video would be a godsend. You know, we talked about you know what happens during cold fronts. Why are cold fronts affecting fish? You guys can answer that question with total certainty.
Well, we are on our new show. We're definitely looking at predation events as something we're definitely going after.
That's
so
cool. That's cool.
Northern pike in particular, we're planning to spend a lot of time with them, and we've already have a couple of pretty cool shots of them mowing down, and we hope to get more. We hope to concentrate on really sort of feeding frenzy type events, because like with the spawning, if there's a lot going on, the fish don't care about the robot being there. So we plan to target midge and mayfly hatches. You know, we would love to see walleye going after
the mayflies. That'd be awesome.
Coming up from the bottom, and that's a major one on our target list. And so we're collaborating with anglers in Georgian Bay to try to find that target time and sort of find, you know, imagine how cool that would be to see
be amazing.
That predation.
God. That might be
I would
something.
say if people have ideas, we'd love to hear them too. If there's something you've always wanted to see, or there's a cool fish behavior event in your backyard that you think would be awesome, like we'd love to hear from you about things you want to see. So,
well, you just heard from me, so write those down.
We need specifics though, like here, roughly around this time. It's a big world out there. It's a big lake.
It sounds like you guys spend most of your time in the Great Lakes, big bodies of water. Have you ever thought about deploying this and documenting what's going on in a small, remote, little tiny lake, for example? Or have you already done that?
Well, we've done that a bit, but we have primarily been focused on the Great Lakes because that's where we live, and that's the sort of concept behind our show so far is sort of life in the world's largest freshwater lake system. But we're definitely working on making what we're doing now an ongoing series. So you might imagine hidden below Great Lakes of the Arctic or something, hidden below African freshwater lakes, you know. So there's lots of places around the world where there's some pretty remarkable freshwater life happening, and if that's we're really sort of looking ahead to all those kinds of things and trying to make a plan for how to move forward with this.
Yeah, this sounds like a TV series in the making.
Yeah.
Right? Like a regular weekly TV series.
You binge watch after about 20 years of it. Just keep going. Exactly. Give me more. Give me more.
We just get older and older.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
We don't want to take your guy's spot there. So,
well, you know, I mean, we're not any younger, Angelo and I, you know, so we might need to.
You said it.
Listen, you guys are always fascinating. You make our days for sure. I want to remind people about that because I think it's very significant. We kind of brushed over it, but April 22nd on Earth Day, you're going to be doing this live event, which I think is absolutely mind-blowing.
I love it.
Anybody that's tuned in right now watching this thing, I urge you to check it out. Any particular time of day that you're going to go live? Is there a time?
10 a.m. Eastern time. And again, it's going to be recorded, so if folks miss it then, they can watch it afterwards.
But we want them there live. We want them there live when you guys are doing it, man. So 10 a.m. Eastern time, April 22nd. Check it out on Earth Day. And then when you've done that, or let's put it this way, before you've done that, go and check out all this wonderful product that these folks put out because it's mind-blowing. And once you start on one, you mentioned binging. This is the perfect binging stuff.
You can't just watch one of their videos. I guarantee you that. It's just not going to happen.
Once again, how can folks get a hold of you?
They can visit our website, hiddenbelow.tv.
Perfect.
That's it.
You got Instagram, you got Facebook, anything like that going on?
Oh, yeah. Look for Hidden Below Great Lakes on Instagram, Facebook. We're also on X and Blue Sky and TikTok.
Okay.
All the things.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Listen, I wish you nothing but the best, and keep up the great work. Hopefully one day our paths will cross out there, and we'll come stumbling over and say, hey, what are you doing here? This is my fishing spot.
Yeah. We'll challenge you
love
to
nothing more.
We'll challenge you live scope versus your big camera.
Nice.
We'll do the big challenge, and we'll see
Nice.
what we can figure out then. So,
Yvonne, Zach, thank you once again for joining us. We really appreciate it. All the best, and keep up the great work.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
see you guys.
Well, I see our next, our future is somewhere down there in below the depths.
Hidden below, 500 meters down.
Don't have to catch him anymore. We can just chase him around with a camera.
That's why I said that. I love that.
It always is fascinating. Well, you know that since the very beginning. I've been intrigued with what's going on down
As
there.
a kid, I'm sure you're the same as me. Jacques Cousteau. You watched that.
My
You had to
God.
watch that all the time. Like when it came on TV, I said, "Oh my God, I'm watching this." I didn't really, I love fishing, but this was nothing to do with me. It'd be sharks. It'd be species of saltwater fish that I've never even seen or heard of before. You just watch it. You're glued to it. You watch it, right?
And Sea Hunt.
Yeah.
Remember
yeah,
Sea Hunt?
exactly. yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Anyways, I think I echo everybody's sentiments. There's something mysterious and wonderful and romantic and sexy and all that about underwater and having a crystal clear view of what these critters are actually doing.
And you see the sexy romance in these ones that they got
Hello.
now. Oh my God, that brook trout footage is amazing.
I think Dean, we got everything covered on that, or
We've got pretty much everything. There is, I believe, when this is airing, the contest we have, the live scope is in its final hours.
oh my
So
God!
the store manager might have something for those who are looking for a last advantage
last-
here.
Well,
last
let's
minute
go. Let's
little,
go over to the store manager.
What do we think here, gang? What are we thinking?
I don't know.
No, it's got
What
to be
about
something to do.
coaster?
Coaster?
Coaster.
I like that.
Coaster would be nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was discussed.
I was thinking below because they're that's like kind of the name, right?
Okay. Well, now
You're the
you
store
got two of them.
manager.
All right. You know what? Let's do coaster.
You want to do coaster?
I like coaster.
Come on now.
That's the
coaster.
code.
It is. And what happens with coaster? What's the
Well,
significance?
you go
there?
to the gateway, the very portal to your next fishing adventure, fishingcanada.com.
Okay.
And you enter your ballot. And then once you enter your ballot, you put in coaster in the bonus code section, and you'll get 10 more entries.
And they do that all caps, correct?
All caps. Make sure it's all
Make sure
caps.
it's all capitals.
And for this week, and until this sale is done on the store, their bonus codes will not work in conjunction with any of the sales.
You ran into an issue, didn't you?
Ran
I got
into
a feeling
someone
somebody ran
wanting
into
an extra 10% on top of their 50%. and my
come on,
response
We
is,
people.
talked. Well, we
have
talked
10
about it at
or
the.
you can have 50, but you can't have both.
Okay.
So you want
as
10%,
mentioned.
take 10. You want 50, take 50, but I'm not giving you both.
Boy, you're starting to hurt my ears on that.
Good.
You spent the first part of the show telling us that. Now you're going to close the show off with it. Are you a little pissed off at people
I'm
or
not
what?
pissed off. I'm just,
like
I'm
it.
just
He's gotta
really
reiterate.
I
He's-
gotta make sure that it's
Gotta
all above
knock
board.
the gavel down. Done.
All right. On that note, on behalf of the entire crew, Nikki V over there, the store manager, producer Dean Taylor, co-host on the Fishing Canada Show, Peter Bowman, I'm Angelo Viola. Thanks for joining us.
See
Talk
ya.
to you next time. This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio has been brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Center, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. And J&B Cycle and Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment.